all you need to make the day a whole lot better.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Good morning. This is Judge Alyssa Perez presiding over the Court for April 11, 2023. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Mr. Marufo, would you call our next case, please?
Middle of page 7, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2021-0D03011, State of Texas versus Juan Antonio Rodriguez. Announcement of council, please.
Well, King for the state of Texas. State is ready. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Ms. Caballero, if you said something, you were muted.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. We're scheduled today on these two cases, let's see, are both set for judges conference. Where are we on this one? On these two, I guess I should say.
Your Honor, I'm actually, because of the administration change, I'm trying to get a approval for the recommendation. I have somewhat conveyed an informal recommendation to opposing counsel, but that is probably going to change. So I do need that, just that final approval, and hopefully I can have it by the end of today.
So we're specially set down the road. I mean, we have time. Mr. Rodriguez is in custody though. Is there a rec that had kind of been on the books up until this point, Ms. King?
No, Your Honor, there has
No? Okay. Okay. Ms. Caballero, anything for the court?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, our next setting is our 2801 setting. So if we have motions, I'm not seeing the full list of filings up until this point. So if there's something that needs a hearing, you know, we have some time to do that. And if not,
Okay.
we'll have our deadline, okay?
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Ms.
you.
King,
Bye-bye.
do you, bye-bye. Ms. King, do you have anything else?
I don't think so until 1:30 in person.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Judge.
much. Who's next?
Towards the bottom of page 11, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2021-0D02527, State of Texas versus Roberto Avila. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Victor Serrano on behalf of Mr. Roberto Avila.
Final hearing plea deadline, Mr. Vance, what is the rec?
The rec is 15 years TDC.
Mr.
Your-
Serrano. I
Your
feel like
Honor,
we're-
we're still receiving and we're still missing some evidence. I just received notice of the CPS records, and I think I can go pick them up today. I just received notice of it this morning. And there's
Okay,
still a couple of statements missing.
so we still have outstanding information. I believe that, I don't know that I knew the specifics of whatever discovery was outstanding, but I think that was the basis for the last continuance. This is our second setting.
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense motion for continuance was granted back on March 7th.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
do we know more specifically what we're talking about, just statements?
Your Honor, there's a couple of statements by two witnesses that portal indicates that they were uploaded, but as of Thursday, they had not been uploaded. And of course, CPS records. And I believe there is there might be perhaps a phone recording of when the report was made, because it was made through the state's line. Am I right? Hotline, or I can't remember exactly what it is. So that's what's missing.
Well, the forensic videos, it's been available. You're gonna have to get an appointment to view that.
No,
Oh, you're talking about
the forensic video, no, it's that one has nothing to do with my client and the complaining witness on the child in this case. So
the statements, I think, are I believe they're an error. I think that because they're related to two people that are nowhere in the report anywhere. But I will verify that today. I think that the detective put a supplement in there from another case, because there's no mention of those people anywhere in there. But I'd see, I mean, it's alarming. You see that and you need statements if it's on there, but I will verify that today with the detective to see if that is the issue or not.
yes, and also the recording. I believe there was a recording that has not been uploaded yet.
Okay, I will figure out.
The hotline, the state hotline.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage you, Mr. Serrano, to maybe contact, I know Mr. Vance is covering for today. I gotta
Yes.
assume Mr. Vance and Ms. Elizalde is handling this case?
Yeah, Ms. Elizalde and I spoke on Thursday, Judge, and she
Okay.
was going to look for those statements. And that's when I also notified her of perhaps we didn't have that recording yet. And now just yesterday, I think the order signed, the court signed an order for the protective order for the CPS records. So I'll go
Correct.
get it today, Judge.
So you're saying, well, we don't, I mean, there's no notice anywhere. There's nothing in there saying that there is a recording or from when it was reported because it wasn't a 911, but we need to make sure. So I will.
Yes.
Correct. So all I would need is, what I'm going to do is, because this is an older case, Mr. Serrano, and if I'm not mistaken, you've been the attorney the entire time, correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is really on my non-jail cases, but for these issues that you're telling me would have been number one. It's a little bit
Yes.
older. So I don't want to put him too far down the road, Myrna. We're probably going to look at something like 60 days.
If we may, Judge.
Uh-huh.
I think that should be ample time.
That
to
should be
take care of
plenty
this.
of time. In the meantime, I can call it Ms. Alizal and find out if that was a mistake.
Yeah,
those
I'll
two
call today
individuals.
because that bothers me. I don't.
Yep.
Because it's just very odd. There's no mention of those two parties anywhere in there.
So the
But-
next final hearing plea deadline will be June 20th,
Yes, Judge.
and that'll be with a June 23rd trial date. Before then, though, I do want to check in with you for a final judges on May 30th.
Okay.
And that's for me to just confirm with you all that, whatever's outstanding in terms of records, statements, anything that is there or not there, that we've completed all that so we can get this to trial. I mean, it's 15 TDC. I'm assuming your client is not accepting that, or is he still thinking about it?
No, Judge, she's not accepting it.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right,
Yes.
other than that, we got to reset. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused, Judge?
You may take care. Who's
Likewise,
next?
see you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Top of page 15, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2022-0D00759, State of Texas versus Jayton Thomas. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance is ready.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jeep Darnell for Jaden Thomas.
Okay, I need to ask a question. Did Mr. Thomas check in yesterday?
Yes, Judge.
What's the rec, Mr. Vance?
I got a sort of new rec yesterday, Your Honor, if I can interrupt, because I spoke with Miss Alyssa all day. It's 10 deferred on the manufacturing and delivering, dismiss everything except one of the family violence offenses and reduce that to a misdemeanor time served. Which changed my,
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just have not had a chance to talk to Mr. Thomas. I was out sick yesterday. One of my kids lovingly brought home a stomach bug for Easter. So I was not at the office yesterday.
Sure.
If I can get a reset just to talk to him, I think that's probably in our best interest to take it. I was going to be a real jerk and move to strike all of Miss Elizalde's pleading she filed yesterday as untimely, but then she one-ups me with a better rec. So that sort of took care of that.
What is going on, Mr. Vance, with he picked up 2 misdemeanors? Well, no, a misdemeanor and a felony, did he not, in February?
I thought it was 2 family violence misdemeanors, but let me see if there are.
I thought I saw a drug case, a possession of a controlled substance, and a DWI, and there's an outstanding warrant from the JMAG on the DWI.
Oh,
Okay,
there is.
So
See the
I'm
man-
not
the- you know the
real
mandate?
happy with Mr. Thomas, Mr. Darnell. I
Understood.
remember him very clearly.
Do you know, I don't get served with anything on the JMAG stuff, Your Honor. Do you know what the warrant it is?
So it took me a second to look it up, and let me see if I made notes on my Friday docket. Give me one second. Okay, he has a standing KPS. No. No, I didn't make notes. The only note I made was with respect to the writ, which is still outstanding. So I think we need to close that out.
Right, and I got an email from Myrna yesterday. Normally, I don't ever draft the orders, but I'll get something drafted today. on
I do
that.
see the possession of controlled substance, penalty group 2, less than a gram, and a DWI.
And on the DWI, I don't recall if, right now I'm not recalling, Mr. Darnell, if I read the basis for the JMAG a warrant on the DWI. I don't know if it, I feel like it was the monitor, but I don't remember. I think I looked at that last week.
I will find out about that, Your Honor.
So,
I think a state jail felony probably isn't going to stand in our way. The only problem is just the testing or getting the lab results back on that state jail. Are y'all, can y'all dump that case, Mr. Vance?
Yeah, we can dump the state jail. The DWI is really more concerning than the penalty group 2 less than a gram. So,
Mr. Darnell, I need you to get with your client because quite honestly, I'm not liking the history. I remember when you came at the time of the writ and, we were looking at the bond and all of the different things that were of concern, which I believe included treatment, right? Drug treatment.
Right.
And
And he
to
has
know,
completed that.
yeah, and to know we have a rearrest on a drug case and a DWI, it's not good. But he's reporting. When he's not
Right.
in jail, he's reporting. So guess what? We're going to come back on Thursday. I need you to get with your client ASAP. We're going to come back on Thursday in person, final hearing plea deadline. And we'll see where we are. What's the rec?
10 deferred, Your Honor,
Deferred.
on the
Sorry.
manufacturing and delivering.
Okay. Okay.
What time, Your Honor?
We can do 10 o'clock, but generally we're flexible, Jeep. So if you have a crazy schedule that morning.
No, my issue was in the afternoon, so I was just making sure it was going to be a morning hearing.
Okay, Thursday, 10 a.m. Your
Okay.
client must be present. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who's next?
Back on page 12, Judge,
well,
in cause number 2021-0D02709 and 2021-0D00712 and 2020-0D06487 and 2022-0D02583 and 2023-0D00983, State of Texas versus Barnaby Chavez. Announcement of council, please.
the state of Texas represented by Kyle Vance on all of them, but 2583.
Good morning.
Ready?
When I heard all the numbers, I thought this has got to be one of my cases. We have a plea agreement, Your Honor. We're just waiting on plea papers, and as soon as we get those, I'll get them signed up.
Okay, so Mr. Munson, I saw your camera turn on. So are you on the
Yes, Your
one?
Honor.
Okay, so you're on the smuggling?
Yes. Yes, Your
So
Honor.
can somebody tell me what the agreement is?
So it's 10 straight.
No, I think you're thinking of a different case, Preston.
What do you have, Mr. Stevens?
This is Barnaby Chavez. This is the one with the smuggling of persons and also a new drug case, and he has probation. We agreed to 2 TDC on the drug case, dismiss the smuggling case, and time served on his revos.
Yes, that's correct. Sorry. I got mixed up with a different one.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that time served on the revos. Yeah. So I haven't seen any plea paperwork.
Yeah, and that's on my end, Your Honor. I'm still in trial. That's my
Well,
fault for not.
If you're
getting those
okay
papers
letting
out.
Mr. Vance handle it, go to your trial, Mr. Munson.
Well, we're at this point, we're just waiting for a verdict, but
Oh, okay.
yes.
So on Mr. Chavez, looking at the probation cases, I am not at time served.
He has about 400 days, and they're mostly state jails. Let me pull up the list.
What's the date of offense on the smuggling case?
I believe it was April of last year, if I remember correctly.
4/22. I know the drug case was, 6/25/2022. Okay. I know the drug
So the-
case was really a 2020 case that we may not have captured when he did all his pleas. Yeah.
Judge, on his probation cases, they're all state jails,
Mm-hmm.
and he has about, I'm calculating about 400 days credit on each of those, a little more.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna reset Mr. Chavez for 2 weeks. We're at the 11th, so it puts us at the 25th. I think maybe we need to talk about this. But I hear what you're saying, Mr. Stevens, on the credit, so we'll readdress it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Munson.
Thank
Who's
Thank you, Your
next?
Honor.
Second on page 13, Judge,
Mhm.
in cause number 2022-0D00702, State of Texas versus Israel Lopez Croisdale. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
Brent Stevens, for Mr. Croysdale, we are ready, Your Honor.
And final hearing, Mr. Vance, what's the rec?
Okay, you did provide a non-pros, correct?
I did.
Okay, we were gonna give she put like time served there, but is there any time in jail?
Actually, my client's rejecting that offer. We're ready for trial.
Okay, well, I'll contact the CW on the non-pros today, and I will resolve this one way or another to see if we're going or if we're gonna get it something else with it today.
Well, hold on a second. What is, did Mr. Croy still check in yesterday, Mr. Manufo?
Yes, Judge.
What's the warrant for, Ms. Martinez?
It's possession of drug paraphernalia. It's out of a municipal court.
Oh. Okay, so there's been no history here. Yeah. We're in Commissioner's Court. That's useful for anyone on Friday. So we have our panel. We'll get you jury sheets.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who's next?
Next one is bottom of page 15, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2022-0D01340, State of Texas versus Aaron Urista. Announcement of council, please.
The state of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
Brent Stevens for Mr. Urista. We are not ready. My client has a warrant. I've never spoken to him, and that's where we're at.
And the
Right, I
offers-
haven't, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just, the offer is to TDC.
Right, so this might be a dumb question. Mr. Marufo, did he check in?
No, Judge, he didn't.
And that's the notation I have. This is our first trial setting. I know, Brent, your office had filed a couple of things, a motion to suppress and an objection to the analysis. But my bigger notation is the defendant MIA because of the warrant. So, we're gonna just set it 6 months down the road for one more, because this is our first setting for one more final hearing plea deadline. And if not, we'll just, I guess, somewhat inactivate the case and see if we ever catch up with him. Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you.
Next.
Top of page 16, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2021-0D02418, State of Texas versus Fernando Villa. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
And Brent Stevens representing Mr. Villa.
And this is a similar situation, Mr. Stevens, right? Yeah, I have the
Exactly.
same. It's also a first setting. Mr. Vance, just if I could have the rec, please.
The rec is that we would dismiss this for a plea to DWI in the misdemeanor courts.
I bet he'll want to do that if I ever talk to him.
Okay, we're gonna do the same thing, reset for 6 months, just final hearing plea deadline and trial, and see if we catch up to him. Okay,
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
sure.
Thank you. That was my last one. Mr. Vance, I'll contact you about Mr. Croysdale later today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Who's next?
Towards the bottom of page 13, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2022-0D01626, State of Texas versus Adan Armando Garcia Murillo. Announcement of council, please.
The state of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
Your Honor, good morning. Ray Velarde on behalf of Mr. Murillo.
Good morning, Mr. Villar. The final hearing plea deadline, I believe, last time it was Judge Spizanino, and he gave you all 30 days maybe to do some negotiating. Mr. Vance, what's the rec?
6 years deferred.
Mr. Velarde?
Judge, go ahead and send me the plea papers.
Okay. This individual's not in custody. I'll reset it for final hearing plea deadline in 2 weeks. I'll be out next week, so that'll give you a little bit of a window to get the plea paperwork in and we'll get it set up.
Mr. Vance, will you be sending me the plea papers?
I sure will.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Judge, adios, everybody. Bye-bye.
Sheriff,
Bye-bye.
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 Okay, who's next?
Staying on page 13, Judge,
Mhm.
in cause number 2021-0D01623, State of Texas versus Josiah Willie Lozoya. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas, represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
Morning, Judge. Jesus Solis, on behalf of Mr. Josiah Lozoya, we are not ready, Judge.
So let me stop you, Mr. Olivas.
Yes,
Let
ma'am.
me ask Mr. Marufo if he checked in.
No, Judge, he did not check in.
No, he's
Well-
A1 with a warrant.
I'm pretty sure I saw him on Crime Stoppers. So it would have been
That's the guy.
a miracle. I don't know if it was Crime Stoppers or one of the most wanted, but I remembered a history of Mr. Olivas, you having a lot of difficulty trying to connect. I don't remember if we had him here once, but
He shows up and disappears and shows up again, then he gets arrested and I see him again and he disappears. I'm not even sure what this last warrant is for. I don't know if it's this failure to participate in the bond process, or did he pick up a new case?
let's
We could
find that
have talked to
out
the
right
lady.
now. Let me see. Let me go back to, I made notes in two different places, so let me double check. Yeah, my only note says most wanted. So, Ms. Martinez, can you help me on, let me see, I haven't even clicked his name here. Can you give me some information on his warrant, if there is one?
Yes, Judge. So it's a nice eye. He didn't show up for his hearing.
Which hearing would that be?
I gotta think it was fairly recent, but I'm not sure. Let me go back. So that was at the beginning of, well, no, let me go back.
Judge, what I see is a final judges conference on March 3rd.
Okay. Well, there you go. But we didn't have any, do we have any outstanding, unfiled, unindicted cases?
Yes, Your Honor. There's kind of a slew of P files. I don't know if these are stale or not, but there's some 2021. They're all drug. There's like 3 drug-related PG2, marijuana, and then there's a new P file for marijuana in 2020. Well, newer 2022 P file that's possession of marijuana less than 2 ounces. And there is a outstanding misdemeanor as well, criminal mischief.
Judge, I don't see any hearing on 3/10 on the final judges conference.
I don't think it was 310. What was the date? Let me go back. I'm looking at a couple of things.
There was one on 3/9.
So Judge, if I may,
Mhm,
the certificate of bailiff
mhm.
was from the 22nd of March. That's when he did not show.
Was there a hearing on the 22nd of March?
I think he was supposed to report because there was a hearing the week before.
Because I don't see anything on the 22nd of March. I'm looking at the register of actions.
Ms. Hernandez, do you see, I'm looking at, I guess, what is the list of hearings? I see a final judges on March 9th. And then I just see our final hearing, plea deadline and our jury trial. Was there an interim setting that is not reflected here?
Hmm.
No, Judge, that's just whatever's listed on there. That's what I have.
Mr. Marufo, can you look into that?
Yes, Judge.
I'm looking at my notes for the hearing of 3/9, and I don't show any discrepancies that show that he would not show or anything, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Let me go back. Do you have your list of no-shows for that week, Mr. Marufo?
There's a bond hearing on March 22nd day of March. It says there's a bond hearing is what it was called.
Where are you seeing that, Mr.?
I pulled up the judgment, NISI and was.
Well,
looking-
right. I mean,
That's what
we
it
know
said.
that's what it says, but what we're actually trying to do.
Oh,
is,
the actual. Okay.
to confirm it. Because the only hearing that I see reflected in Odyssey is on March 9th, final judges conference. Ms. Martinez, where are you getting that? That it was then set for a bond? Is that what you said?
Yes, Judge. So according to the certificate of bailiff, he on the 22nd of March, he failed to appear for a bond hearing.
It was out on bond. Why would we need a bond hearing?
Yeah, that's a little confusing to me as well.
The no-show, Judge, was for March 9th. He had a final judges conference.
So the certificate of bailiff is incorrect then. So we need to withdraw the NISI.
And again, Judge, I'm looking at my notes for 3/9/22 where we had the final judges conference, and I don't see any notes where he was a no-show or anything like that.
Well, he would have had to have checked in on that Monday. So,
That is
Mr.
correct.
Marufo, you need to fix that.
Yes, Judge.
So, Myrna, if you'll get me an order to withdraw or vacate. Well, in order to vacate the NISI, recall the warrant, Ms. Martinez.
Yes, Judge.
And then I need you to redo that, Mr. Marufo.
Yes, Judge.
So now that he's not here today, where does that put us?
Oh, we're gonna have more to put in that affidavit, no, Mr. Olivas?
And is
And
his,
And
his
then we'll
picture gonna
attach
be
the
back up
screen,
again?
and then we're gonna attach the screenshot of the Crime Stoppers, not the cuts. No, but I mean,
Okay.
obviously, he is consistently, and I suspect, Mr. Marufo, if you go through your records, we may have more than even those two no-shows. So please make sure it's accurate, refile, redo the affidavit so that it reflects the no-shows. Mr.
Yes,
Olivas, have you had any contact with him?
Last time I spoke to him was on the, let's see, on the 3rd of this month. And he called me because he saw his picture on the most wanted because he had a warrant. He was asking me what happened was, I don't
Well,
know.
what's the rec, Mr. Vance? I mean, why doesn't he come in?
I did 8 years deferred plus restitution. It's not.
Does he
It's
know
a
that,
fair
Mr.
offer.
Olivas?
He does. He's just really inconsistent.
So, okay, considering all the confusion today, Mr. Olivas, I'm going to reset him for Thursday in
Yes, ma'am.
person at 11 a.m. If he's so concerned about his picture being out there as a most wanted, you may obviously explain to him what has transpired here today, what the offer is, and if he's willing to accept that offer,
Okay,
we can do the plea on Thursday. If not, if he's not here, that is going to reissue with obviously everything.
yes, ma'am.
Okie dokie.
Thank you, Judge. And I think that's all I have with you today. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
Who's next?
Top of page 14, Judge. In cause number 2022-0D00809, State of Texas versus Richard Byron May. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
President Anchondo, on behalf of Mr. May, we are ready, Your Honor.
Mr. Anchondo, final hearing plea deadline, Mr. Vance.
The plea papers were sent for 4 years deferred.
That is correct, Judge, and he's going to accept it. I know he has a warrant on a PR violation,
Okay.
but I talked to him. I talked to him last week. He he says he's been calling PR. He does have mental health issues.
Mm.
I know it's a little bit difficult for him. Judge, requesting if this plea can be done in person so that he doesn't have to worry about any.
Absolutely. Do you want to do it? I think we can do it this Thursday.
That may be difficult for me. Can we do it the following Thursday?
We can. Uh-huh.
What time were you looking at?
I'm thinking 11 a.m.
That'll work for me, Judge.
11 a.m. next Thursday in person.
Yes, that way I can sign them up and get them
Sure.
going there.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Judge. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Who's next?
Staying on page 14, Judge, in case number 2022-0D02356, State of Texas versus Regina Montes. Announcement of council, please.
The state of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
John Williams for Regina Montes. Ready, Your Honor.
What is the rec, Mr. Vance?
8 years deferred.
Is that a new rec?
No,
Go ahead.
it's always been it's been the rec for a long time, Judge. My client's been in 285 days, but it's a very weak case. I've talked to the complaining witness. He signed a non-prosecution statement in the fall, a pretty detailed non-prosecution statement saying she didn't have anything to do with it. The only evidence that tied her to this at all was his original statement, but he says he was high and had been shot. At the time he talked to the police. I know there's also warrants for him out of somewhere else. The only reason I found him was because he called me, but I don't think y'all are going to have a witness here on Friday. So.
Okay.
I'll check into it.
Well, without hearing anything more than that, I'll get you jury sheets. I will tell you, Mr. Williams, Ms. Montes is number one on my docket because I think we only have 3 jail folks, and she, they're all about the same amount of time, but I think the other 2 will be pushed back. So Ms. Montes' case is number 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Who's next?
Staying on page 14, Judge. In case number 2022-0D02537, State of Texas versus Bradley Wayne Testa. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
Good morning, Your Honor. Veronica Teresa Lerma on behalf of Mr. Testa, we are ready.
Okay, final hearing plea deadline, Mr. Vance. What's the rec?
Plea papers have been sent, is what my notes say, for 5 years deferred.
And we've signed those and sent them over to the court, Judge. We just need a plea hearing date.
Okay. Does Mr. Marufo or Ms. Hernandez, did you all receive those?
I'm checking.
If we have a Ms. Lerma, we can set you next week. If not, it'll be 2 weeks. Okay.
That's fine, Judge.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Bottom of page 16, Judge. In cause number 2022-0D02269, State of Texas versus Edwin Zuniga. Announcement of council, please.
The state of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
Good morning, Your Honor. Eduardo Solis or Mr. Zuniga. We're ready.
Good morning. Final hearing plea deadline. What's the rec on Mr. Zuniga? And I just saw his face pop up here. He is also appearing, Mr. Zuniga. Mr. Zuniga is.
Yes, Your Honor. So I've been in touch with Ms. Elizalde, and we filed a joint or unopposed motion to continue. So I've been in touch with Mr. Javier Salcedo. I don't know if he's still assigned to the court or not, but the idea was to allow enough time for Mr. Zuniga to earn some good, some good mitigation from Mr. Salcedo, in that he can resolve this case very favorably to us, like we were thinking sometime last year, and then resolve the pending misdemeanors as well. And so that's what we're allowing. We're allowing, obviously with the court's blessing, some additional time so that Mr. Zuniga can demonstrate to Mr. Salcedo that he is deserving of what we had discussed might happen with this case. In the vein of maybe a dismissal or even a reduction to a deferred on a misdemeanor and then subsequent deferreds on the pending misdemeanors or something along those lines. So we're trying to save and salvage a felony record for Mr. Zuniga. So that's where we're at, Your Honor, and requesting that the court accept this continuance.
So let me ask, because Mr. Salcedo is no longer with our court, is that a case, Mr. Vance, that he's retained? Otherwise, I believe Mr. Vance is covering today. Ms. Elizalde is our frontline attorney and Mr. Dixon is our chief. So I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I don't believe that Mr. Salcedo has retained this. I know the offer is 7 years deferred.
Mhm. And the co-defendant pled on this case, correct? Let me see if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, pled back in January. Obviously, I'm not saying they're the same, but
when I last spoke with Mr. Salcedo, we ran into each other in one of the courts, maybe the 346, maybe.
yeah, that's where he's assigned.
Yeah,
And so that's why, Mr. Vance, is Mr. Salcedo available?
Yeah, honestly, I can see if he is. I know he's on the other side of the floor, but I
Let
can't.
me see if Ms. Hernandez can try and track him down and we'll come back to this one.
Okay.
Thank you. So Myrna, if you can see if we can get Javier to log in, please. Thank you. We'll come back to yours, Mr. Solis. Thank you. Who's next?
Back on top of page 12, Judge,
Mhm.
in cause number 2022-0D01237, State of Texas versus Jose Carrasco. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready. What page was this on again, Mr. Marufo?
Top of page 12.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor. Francisco Macias for Mr. Jose Martin Carrasco. Your Honor, there are warrants out for this young man. Haven't had any contact with him. We've had contact with his bonding company. They can't find him either. I think we're just gonna have to wait until they arrest him again, which could be sooner than later. And then either take him to trial if he wants to go or plea him out to this misdemeanor that they've offered him for 1 day. I don't know why he just doesn't want to come in and take care of this, but
So is that what the rec is, Mr. Vance? 1 day credit for time served on a misdemeanor?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, 1244B, yes, Your Honor.
Well, I agree with you, Mr. Macias. What I'll do it as I did on the other perdidos, I guess, is I'm gonna reset it for trial in 6 months. And if we've caught up to him, at least we don't have a delay there. And if not, then, ultimately, I think we just inactivate it until we catch up with him.
let me make sure that we have an investigator on this case and I'll go out and look for him, Judge.
Okay,
I mean, this
thank you.
doesn't belong right in your docket,
Appreciate it, Mr. Macias. In any event, we'll get you a setting down the road. Thank you for your time.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Be safe out there.
You too. Take care. Who's next? Is that
Bottom
everybody?
of page 11, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2020-0D02332, State of Texas versus Alexis Bernice Canas. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
We're helping on behalf of Ms. Canas. We are ready, Your Honor.
Ms. Canas is appearing remotely. I know, Mr. Huffman, your office was recently appointed, so this trial setting is pretty quick. Mr. Vance, what's the rec?
4 years deferred, a restitution, theft course, 200 hours community service, and some other standard conditions.
Mr. Huffman?
Mr. Vance, did you say no restitution?
No, whatever it says restitution, whatever the amount was. What was there?
I just wanted to confirm. I thought I heard no restitution. I
mean,
Judge,
was a property, was it recovered?
I believe so.
Well, there shouldn't be restitution. There's no restitution in the case, and it just, if there is.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, Judge, we're not going to be ready, Your Honor. I'll be filing a motion to continue
We were recently appointed, and there's quite a bit of evidence that I need to go through with Ms. Canas.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to ask that you file a motion for continuance. There's a couple of things sounds to me outstanding here or that affect that, which is, first of all, you all were recently appointed. I think it was just last week or the week before that Mr. Avalar or Mr. Underwood, I don't remember who it was. So I'm going to go ahead and give you an appropriate opportunity to go through the case with your client. Number two, I would like to know if there is or is not restitution, that if there is, that there is a firm amount that is conveyed to Mr. Huffman so his client knows if that will be part of the plea deal. And we're going to reset her for 6 months down the road. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Understood. Thank you.
But on this one, Myrna, we probably need to have a final judges conference 30 days before the final hearing plea deadline. Okay.
Yes.
All righty.
And I'll have Ms. Canas in my office soon. And if there is a counter, I'll let you know, Mr. Vance.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr. Huffman.
sounds good.
All right, you all are excused. Thank you, Ms. Canas. Who's
Then-
next?
The next one is on middle of page 13, Judge. In cause number 2015-0D0-0860, State of Texas versus Blanca Flores. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. The state is ready.
Rick Huffman on behalf of on behalf of Ms. Flores, we are ready.
Okay, final hearing plea deadline, Mr. Vance.
It says we've sent plea paperwork over for a 1244B for time served.
And I do have that paperwork. I just need to get it signed, Judge. We were hoping that maybe we could come in on Thursday and do a plea
Sure.
in person.
We can do it Thursday in person at 11.
We will be there, Judge.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Next.
I believe those are the final deadline, Judge, just waiting on Mr. Salcedo.
Okay, so as soon as, did we hear anything about Mr. Salcedo?
There he is.
Yes, he's logging in, Judge.
Beautiful.
I think Mr. Zuniga was attempting to log in again.
Okay.
It's coming in. Mr. Salcedo, are you there?
All right.
In cause number 2022-0D0-2269, State of Texas versus Edwin Zuniga. Announcement of council, please.
State of Texas represented by Kyle Vance. State's ready.
Good morning, Your Honor. Again, Eduardo Solis from Mr. Zuniga. We're ready.
Mr. Salcedo, I think we're waiting on you. Are you there?
There he is.
Can you hear us? We can't hear
Yes.
you. Oh, there you are. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Salcedo.
Good morning, Judge.
So I understand from Mr. Solis that you are handling one of our cases. So I'm Mr.
Zuniga.
Edwin Zuniga.
This is a case with mom. Remember, mom brought him in and all that, and bonded him out and came to court. And Mr. Salcedo, I think hopefully that jogs your memory. We were talking about initially potentially reducing this to a misdemeanor deferred or something along those lines. But then Mr. Zuniga got rearrested, and he bonded out of jail quicker than you'd have liked, given that, now that he got rearrested, maybe he can earn that rec again had he sat in jail a little longer, but mom got him out. And so we had discussed that, well, maybe if we can allow some more time to pass and he can earn your goodwill, so to speak, after some months pass and this young man starts to mature and prove that he can stay out of trouble, you would reconsider. We were going with this way back in the fall of last year. And so Ms. Elizalde and I agreed to file a motion to continue based on that foundation, so to speak, that hopefully Her Honor would allow a continuance, hopefully in the fall, maybe by then, Mr. Zuniga has proved his worth. And you or whoever filled in for your stead would say, okay, we can do what Mr. Salcedo and Mr. Solis were talking about way back in the fall of 2022. And that's where we're at. And the judge wanted to know, was I lying or was I?
No, I don't think that you're lying, Mr. Solis. What struck me as odd is that these negotiations were happening with Mr. Salcedo when he has not been in this court for some time.
Well, I think, and I didn't know that because when we had.
We're at the eve of trial. Trial is Friday, so.
Right. And you're right, Your Honor. When I spoke to Mr. Salcedo last about this, at least touched on it in passing. We were in the 346, I think, or one of those. But I didn't realize he was out, or I'm not sure who's where anymore. So anyway, but that's all I'm asking. And with regard to the co-defendant, I can't speak to what other counsel do with their defendants.
I understand.
It's assembly line approach, whether they really care, how zealous they advocate. I'm not saying that they don't, but I don't think.
I understand. I just, so Mr. Salcedo, is this something that went beyond, for example, are you the point person on this? I mean, I've heard now that Ms. Elizalde agreed to the continuance or does not oppose the continuance, but that they're talking to you about mitigation in terms of a rec change, so.
Well, I was, but I didn't realize he was no longer in the court. So I'm not trying to assign any undue decision-making to any other ADA. Ms. Elizalde may not have known what because I did explain to her what I just said. She said, no, I'm not opposed, but I'm not saying she hooked her buggy to Mr. Salcedo's train, so to speak. So I'm not trying to say that. I just didn't realize Mr. Salcedo was no longer in this court. That's what I'm trying to say.
So I just want to make sure that Mr. Salcedo is not going to be the prosecutor that's going to consider any mitigation or anything else on this case then.
No, Your Honor. No, I was talking to Mr. Solis. I did run into him in a different court, and he brought up the fact that Mr. Zuniga.
Got it.
But he did pick up this new case.
Yeah, I missed all that. I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You brought up the fact that.
Right, that Mr. Solis in a different court, and we had. I can raise the volume here.
I think I understand what's going on now. And so I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something even partially definitive, I guess, in a sense, coming from Mr. Salcedo. I'm going to grant the request for continuance by Mr. Solis. Mr. Solis, I'm going to reset the final hearing plea deadline only for 2 weeks, so that we can reconvene with Ms. Elizalde regarding what we're anticipating to see if how much movement of anything. I mean, that's what I don't have clear. I mean, are we really that close or not? And if she's the one making the call on the offer, then I think it's best to have that conversation with her. So I'm going to reset the final hearing plea deadline without a trial setting.
That's
for
fine.
2 weeks. If what ends up happening in those 2 weeks is she says, oh, great, I already have my rec. I've talked to Mr. Solis. I understand what's going on and it's something your client is amenable to. We can address it. If not, we can get a realistic trial date set. Okay?
That's fine. Is Ms. Elizalde out of the office this week or?
She is out at training. That's why Mr. Vance is covering.
Okay, like the week or just a couple of days?
I believe the week, but I don't know for sure.
The rest of the week, yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'll reach out to her next week. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Salcedo. Good to see you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Salcedo. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I just needed, Mr. Solis, I just needed a reason to drag him in here, honestly. So when you said his name, I said, for sure, bring him on in.
Bring him in.
I like him too. I like him a lot too. So